I do get nasty. Welcome to the Wonderland Effect. Today, I have a very special guest. And if you're new here, thank you for coming. If you've been here, thank you for rocking with me. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic and let him introduce himself.
What's up, guys? My name is Ivan Arevalo. I am an immigrant Colombian here rocking with you guys. And my profession is marriage family therapist. And I've been doing this for about 5 years now. So glad to be here.
Okay, see, when we talked, I missed the family part. I just heard marriage. So it makes sense now. But how did you get into therapy?
So I got into therapy. Honestly, it was just like something that was given to me by celestial being, by God, whatever it was. It was like this thing that I always carry with me where I met people and they would just feel comfortable and they would open up to me like strangers. And they would just tell me a little bit about their life. And I saw the need that there was in the world for people to be heard without being questioned, without being judged, without being criticized. And then I loved it so much that I found a field like therapy and mental health therapy that was like, boom, this is what's me. This is what I can do for the world and how to support people in a deeper level.
I love that. Do you think that, because I feel like you've been like that since high school.
Yeah.
I don't, or even middle school. And I think that that's great that you found something that actually fits your personality, because people have always talked to you.
Yeah.
I think anybody you came in contact with, everybody felt comfortable with speaking with you. You were always kind, never in really any drama.
Yeah.
So I think that it fits you perfectly.
Heck yeah, I love it.
So let's start from the beginning. Okay. You focus primarily on adolescents, correct?
Yeah. So I know marriage family therapy is kind of like a broad term, right? But what I do is that I helped right now for the past 5 years. I've been doing like kids, adolescent, young teens, and young adults. So it's kind of like that's what I specialized on. But I also have the privilege of working with families, so family therapy, and also with adults also. So, but mainly has been kids and teens and young adolescents.
How does that impact you?
Man, how does it impact me? It has impacted me in the way that I'm seeing what people are suffering. That is kind of like the same story of like maybe what we went through a little bit, but to a deeper level.
Yeah.
And I know maybe we'll get into it a little later, but like with like social media, man, like I feel like a lot of us maybe were like maybe bullied from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then we got to go home and we're kind of okay till the next day. But now people are going home and they're stuck with that, right? Like Instagram will tell you, Snapchat will tell you, like, so it's constant, man. So I've noticed how sad it is to be a teen nowadays, but also inspires me of what I do.
Yeah.
So it's impactful, man. It's sad, and I know we'll get into it, but it's sad to see like a 13, 14-year-old who has lost hope in life.
Yeah.
Like it's wild. It's impactful.
I think we, as the adults now, because it's crazy that we're adults, we don't really take into consideration that we are influencing younger people. And these unrealistic expectations have formed into societal norms. So in that aspect, how do you go about helping someone who has, like, let's say like body dysmorphia, or they get into this dysmorphia where they don't like anything that they look like they form these, because we got filters. Even I'm guilty of it. I had to stop using my filters because it changes the way that you perceive yourself. And you start thinking that you need to look perfect. And in that world, like, how do you handle those kids? Because I know you probably dealt with a few. How do you handle those?
Man, it's that's a great question, because that's something that I'm seeing a whole lot. Like going back a little bit to like what you said, you and I are the adults now, right? And what we experienced was like, I compare myself to like the 400 other guys that was in our high school, right? And that was that. But now kids are comparing themselves globally
To millions.
Exactly. And it's wild to me, because like trying to break that down and trying to help them see themselves by who they truly are takes time.
Yeah.
And the key component is like, what is their environment telling them, right? Because they're seeing me one time a week, right, for an hour, and they're able to do progress and they're able to like see things. But if they go back to the environment that tells them like, hey, you're fat, or hey, you're not good enough, or hey, you don't look good enough, so on and so forth, it makes it very difficult. But what I try to do, and I'll say this over and over, I think over the podcast, is just like going back to the root. Like, why does this person feel this way? Why is it that they can't see themselves how they truly are seen, right?
Yeah.
Like, So I always try to dial it back and help my clients be able to take a step back of like, where was it that it started?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was the root of this thought? And then being able to work from the bottom up, as we call it.
See, I think with our generation of people, a lot of therapy wasn't really encouraged. It was not really widely accepted.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of our parents never really took the time to deep dive into certain behaviors.
Yeah.
So I think we're faced, because now we're the parents, we're faced with that problem of us not knowing how to deal with a child that may be going through some mental issues.
Yeah.
And a lot of us probably don't know how to comprehend it at all. And I see it a lot. So I work in manufacturing, and I have a team of like almost 200 associates and X amount of adults, basically. And I see a lot of the mannerisms that these adults have.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine what impact it has on the children.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, these are things that I find as common sense. I find it's like they're at least 20 times a day. I'm like, you cannot be for real.
Yeah.
And these are adults.
Yeah.
And every day I wake up and I'm like, this is insane. Yeah. How are y'all the adults? And I feel a little bit of sympathy for not a little, a lot of sympathy for the children, because they are forced with these. It's not necessarily our fault, but it is our fault, because trying to understand mental health as an adult is a lot harder and a lot less sympathetic to the kids.
Yeah.
So when you say like their environment, I can only imagine, because I deal with the parents.
Yeah.
on a regular basis. And I mean, they act like children.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine what it feels like to be raised by someone that acts like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And have you dealt with families like in that kind of dynamic?
Oh, 100%. I deal with it all the time. I tell like my friends and people who like kind of don't know much about what I do is that like if parents were just good or okay parents, right, I would not have as many clients as I do. Like, it is wild that people won't self-reflect. And I think that's something that is huge for people to hear and to understand, that a lot of times as parents, as adults, we feel like we know it all, or we feel like we know already, or we lived through it. So we're able to like point, like, you need to do this different. You need, like, we just go into telling the person what to do, but we don't take the step back to reflect into what you are doing as a parent, like how you were raised is very impactful to how you're going to raise your kiddo. And also like what people don't get a lot of the times, or is difficult for them to understand, it's just as simple as like monkey see, monkey do.
They're going to mimic your behaviors.
Exactly. Like if you hit your kid, sorry, like your kid is more likely to be violent at school, because now you're teaching them how they're going to resolve problems through hitting, right?
Yeah.
So it's difficult, and families play such a key role in therapy, man. Like parents especially, man, like if parents are not involved, if parents are not able to do, as I call it, like their own homework into, hey, tell me how you're actually doing, not as a parent, but as you as an individual, like how are you actually doing? And if you're not able to do that homework, a lot of times I'm like, I don't know how much I can get far from therapy with your kiddo, because there's only so much I can do. Like, once again, I only spend 1 hour a week with them. You spent pretty much the whole week with them, you know? Yeah. So like, when parents are not involved, man, it makes it a lot challenging, and your environment has such an impact on how it is, like, impacts your own mental health.
Yeah. How do you gain the trust of the kids for them to open up to you?
I know there's a challenge with that question, because a lot of people see us as therapists like we have a magic wand, or we have this magic like that we can just, help people. But honestly, it's as simple as just like letting them have a safe environment. Like, I'm myself, like the way that I'm presenting myself here is the same way that I present in my office. I don't change the way I talk. I don't change the way I dress. Like, like I bring myself into the room and let them know that they are with another human. They're not with this like person who went to school and has a master's and all this like pedestal kind of thing. No, I'm just myself. And the client sees that, and they see the kindness, the just vulnerability, the safety that the environment provides for them. And they just start opening up, man. They just like slowly and surely like start letting them me into their life. And I always share with them what a privilege it is to be seated and let them share the story and hear the story.
Yeah. give them an opportunity to say things that they would be afraid to say.
Exactly. In a world that maybe, you know, when they say it, they've been judged, they've been criticized, they've been made fun of. But in my office, you can tell me almost anything and you won't be judged, you won't be criticized. So it's that simple, man. It's just getting their trust by not jumping into conclusions and just letting them hear or letting them speak and be heard.
Yeah. I also think it's cool because you get to be like the safety zone for them.
Yeah.
Like I can only imagine like as a kid having someone who didn't make me feel like I'm going to get in trouble if I say something.
Exactly.
That's like part of the reason I started my podcast, because like I felt like as a kid
Mm-hmm.
I had to do everything the way that my parents said.
Yeah.
So then I got to be an adult. I still was doing as my parents said.
Heck yeah.
But now it's like I could do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And that's really where we're at. It's
Heck yeah.
like whatever I want to do, I could do. Okay.
Exactly.
So what advice can you give to parents that are worried about their child's mental health?
Take a step back. I think that's the best advice. Like, take a step back. I think like I said earlier, like I feel like a lot of times as adults, we feel like we have the answers and we're like ready to be like, no, you need to do this, and this, or you're doing this wrong. And we're just so ready to like jump into conclusions. And also like parents, like I feel like a lot of times are like, okay, I have this task, I have this task, I have this task. And their world is just so fast that they don't stop for a second. So I think that the best advice is like, take a step back. Like listen to your kid, like actually listen. Don't be ready to just like say something back. Just listen. Ask the difficult questions of how are you actually doing? I noticed that you're sad. I noticed that you were very angry today in the morning. Like those serious questions and being able to like really see your kid by who they are, not the athlete, not the A student, not all these expectations that we put on them, but just to see them and to take the time to get to know them and know what actually is happening with them and in their world is key, man. That's the best that you can do for your kid. Like accept them, love them, and you know, be there for them.
I think that's hard though. That's hard because when I think about it, I'm like, so many people, just from what you're saying, like how you deal with the children, so many adults still have not healed their inner child.
Exactly.
And I can speak from my own experience. I don't even need anybody else's. Like I get a ton of experience in that when I deal with the parents at work. And this can be like, I could just be walking my floor and just ask one of them like, hey, how you doing today? I had a lady like maybe a week or two ago just break down.
Yeah.
Just full-fledged ugly crying on the line. I'm like, hey, you got to get off the line. Let's go over here. Do you want to talk? Like, what's up?
Yeah, what's going on?
Because I mean, I'm still compassionate. Like, even though we're at work, I'm still here to try to guide people as best as I can without attaching myself to them so much. I think that's the biggest thing is like once I form an emotional bond, I'm like, hey, I care about you. Like, I hope you're doing well. And I do check in on people, but just those little experiences that I've gotten into, I know for a fact that people need to work on their inner child.
100%. And I love that you're using that word, man. Inner child is such a key component, man. Like, and for people that may not know, like inner child is just your younger self that lives inside your body, man. The one that's hurt, the one that wasn't listened to, the one that was bullied, the one that was made fun of, the one that was, you know, like sexually abused, the one that all these different things, like, if you don't look internally and self-reflect, like I said, like all that stuff carries on with you. And if you don't like take the steps, whatever it is, whatever method, if it's therapy, if it's church, if it's hiking, whatever it is, like if you don't take the time to heal that inner child, like it's gonna show, man.
Yeah.
It shows all the time.
It becomes a cycle because you're creating another person with the same inner child problems.
Exactly. And that's called like, you know, transgenerational, you know, trauma. Like it just goes from like grandparents to parents to kids and it goes on. And some people, I think maybe like us have breaking those cycles, man. Like we're doing the work. We're doing the hard work.
At least trying.
There we go. That's all that matters, man. I don't know
how successful, but definitely trying because I don't have kids yet.
Okay. And
when I do have kids one day, I don't want them to have the same insecurities that I may have or I didn't have a horrible childhood. Like a lot of people think, you know, everybody has a sad sob childhood story. No, I had a really great childhood.
Okay.
Like, I enjoyed all of our school days. I enjoyed that. I may not have had the freedom to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I value some of the things that I did learn, you know,
Nice.
from having that kind of structure, because I've seen what it looks like when you don't have that kind of structure.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with kids that don't come from a structural background?
Man, that's where parents are key. That's where, like, being able to bring them in with their parents, being able to educate the parents. Like you said, we come from a generation, and a lot of the parents that I work with are also older than us. Like, we're talking about 50s, 60s, right? Like, I even have clients who are living with their grandparents, you know? So being able to bring them in and throw that, like, psychoeducation of, like, hey, this is what we're dealing with, right? Like, depression is not just a term. Like, depression is also like an illness that comes with, like, you know, being tired, like not being able to get things done, not because they don't want to, it's because their body just doesn't have the energy to do it, you know? So bringing that psychoeducation and being able to help them, like, this is what structure may look like and how it can benefit them. So that was a team working, and it's not just my client, like, hey, there's something wrong with you and you need to fix it and bring structure into your life.
Yeah.
Because, you know, at 12, 13, 14, 15, like, how much power do they have over their own life? You
Not
know?
a lot.
Exactly. So that's where I bring the parent in, and I'm like, or the parents, and I'm like, this is what's not really working. Share with me what's working and how we can implement, like, the skills that I've shared with you, so that way we bring some type of structure to your life and the importance of it.
Yeah. I just hope that when you're going through these sessions with these people, like, that the parents are actually supportive of it, because you can only do so much, like you said. But it's just interesting to hear it from your perspective, because I always think about the adults. I don't think about the children in that depth, because I deal with a lot of problems, and I'm not even I'm not a professional in the field. I just know what I deal with on a daily basis, and if I see it, the kids see it.
Oh, 100%.
And I've noticed, like, because social media is available everywhere, a lot of kids are getting on, you know, social platforms, and they might post, you know, things where they feel like unaliving themselves, or where they feel as if they're unheard. And a lot of people will turn, like, a blind eye to that. Is it always just for likes? Nah, I wouldn't say always, but it can be. But I do think that more people need to check their children's social media.
100%.
We should be monitoring what they're consuming and what they're putting out there, because, like you said, monkey see, monkey do, mimic. I'm going to mimic whatever I see. And social media is everywhere.
Exactly. And part of that also is, like, people want to be accepted. Like, something that I've learned and that people, I think, should take from this whole spiel is, like, people want to be accepted. They want to be loved. They want to be seen. Sounds simple. It's three things. And I know there's more things to it, but as simple as that. And if they're not seeing it in their own environment, right? Like with their parents or whatever, they may seek out social media, right? And it's great. I know social media has done great things for some people, but also, like, what happens when you start comparing to someone that you can't meet those expectations, right?
Unrealistic expectations.
Exactly. And then you're seeing everybody take that trip to Italy, right? And you're like, damn, I don't even have $5 to buy myself, like, you know, like a burger. Like, what am I doing wrong? And then you start internalizing this. And like you said, if the parents not checking on them in regards of, like, what type of media are they consuming or what they're dishing out, right? Because, you know, if we go in a whole other realm of what people put out on social media, a lot of times it's for attention. And how far are you willing to expose yourself as a male or as a female to seek that attention? And that can be very concerning also. So, like you said, check what they're doing, man. Like, don't be a helicopter parent. That's not what I'm saying, but, you know, be
Just
aware.
Follow up. Follow up a little bit. Follow up and set boundaries.
Exactly. Show that you care.
Yeah. Because a lot of kids, they're going to test your boundaries.
Heck yeah.
Their parents do it. I see it all the time. I see it, and I just can't. Like I said, I always get baffled by something that an adult will do. Yeah. Because I know your kids are doing it.
Oh, trust me. I have so many stories.
Absolutely. Like, this, from fraudulent activities to things that I'm just like, do we have to have this conversation right now?
Yeah.
And it's real. Like, you really have to have those conversations with 100%. People. And it's almost like you're interacting with their inner child. You're interacting every day. I go in there and I interact with people's inner child.
Yeah. With their hurt inner child, or their not healed, as you said, inner child. And
and they don't know me.
No.
So a lot of them like come in and I'll be like, hey, do you want to talk? Like we can step offline and talk.
Exactly.
And they'll tell me a bunch of stuff and I'm just
Yeah.
like, you don't know me.
Yeah.
But if you got to tell me it, okay,
Yeah.
I guess. I hope you're okay.
Exactly.
And that's the best that I could do. But it just, to me, the way that social media has angled everything, including mental health advice.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people need to realize a lot of these folks that are on social media are not credentialed to handle business or hand you out advice.
Heck yeah, I'm with you on that one. Praise to you on that one, because check your sources, man. Check your sources, because a lot of people are doing it for the likes, are doing it for the follows, and they will say anything, but there's no science. There's no research that backs that up. So being careful of like where you're reaching and where you're like looking for information, especially towards mental health, because right now it's like a hot topic that everybody's like dishing out, making sure that, you know, the person who is speaking about it has knowledge in the field, so that way, you know, they're not causing harm to people.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you. It's more like a scenario based kind of thing.
Let's do it.
So how do you deal with a child and a parent, you know, that has a strained bond? What advice do you give to the child and then versus the parent?
What do you mean by a strained bond?
Like, I don't know. Maybe they had maybe you're dealing with a 13-year-old who really hates their mother. Let's say it's a little girl who really despises their mother because boundaries are now being set.
Oh, okay.
So the parent doesn't know how to deal with the child and the child doesn't know how to deal with the parent.
Okay.
What would you suggest they do?
You want the simple answer or the hard answer?
Let's go the hard answer.
The hard answer, steps. A lot of parents think that they're going to come in and things are going to get resolved, right? Like right off the bat. Like they need to listen to me, right? Like I'm the parent. And it's kind of like, and that's what therapy does. And I think that's what people don't understand is like it provides that safe environment where like I know you're the parent, but you don't have power over this kid at this moment. Like this kid is here to be heard and you're here to listen as well, right? So the first step for me in that situation is how can I get them to trust and hear each other better? A lot of times that I lean to is activities, simple activities. Like this week I played memory game and it was mom and daughter, 13-year-old daughter, playing against me. And they had to work together to beat me. And a lot of times people are like, oh, they're just playing games in therapy, like blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, what you're doing is communicating with each other, helping each other out for the mutual task, which is to beat me, right? So that's step one. Step one, like, is mom able to listen to what the kid has to say and respect what the kid has to say? If I notice that that's not being able to be accomplished, then that's where I pull the parent aside. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, I notice X, Y, and Z. Like, I notice you're not being able to be reflective to your child. Is it your inner child that's speaking based on fear, based on anxiety, based on whatever? If they're able to be successful at listening to each other, then we go to the second part of like, what's the root of the problem? Like, why are you guys here? Why are you guys able to not, or why are you guys not able to work with each other? And then usually a lot of times kids are very reflective and honest.
Yeah, they don't tend to lie.
Exactly.
But them adults be lying. Them adults be lying.
Exactly. So that's the point. Like, and then, like I said, in the environment that I think I provide for people, they feel safe where the client can look at the parents in the eyes and be like, you don't spend time with me, man.
Yeah.
Or when we spend time with me, or when you spend time with me, you're on your phone all the time. And then the parents like, whoa, like I didn't even know you really wanted my attention. Then we talk about how can we seek attention without fighting? Because fighting is still attention.
Yep.
Like that's what people need to understand.
Negative
like,
attention, but it's
exactly attention. Like no matter how you get attention, you're gonna want attention. You're gonna get it one way or another. There's a healthy way and there's an unhealthy way. Fighting, in my perspective, everybody deals with their relationships different. You know, it's an unhealthy way to seek attention. So then, how can we work together towards seeking that attention in a positive way, while informing mom of what's going on, and mom can inform you of what's going on in her life? Because a lot of times we show like the mom hat. And that's all the kid sees. And what the mom sees is just the daughter hat, but they don't see the student hat. They don't see the wife hat. They don't see all these other hats that we wear in our daily life. So being able to help them see each other's life is huge.
To come to some kind of conclusion like, hey, it's not all I think it is.
Exactly. And they don't take it so personal. A lot of things, I think parents especially take it very personal. Like they're screaming at me because blah, blah, blah. And they take it like very personal to themselves. It's like, no, they're screaming at you because they got an F on their test. They can't tell anybody. and they feel bad because there's other peers are making fun of them.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with you. Like that's why I said earlier to one of your questions, like stop, like take a step back.
Yeah.
Like see what's going on. Don't just like let your emotions take control and be like, no, but you're wrong, or no, like you. That's not gonna guide you anywhere.
No, it's like arguing. It's still the same as arguing with an adult. Like you have to seek to listen, seek to understand.
Seek to understand. Exactly.
That's what they call it.
Exactly.
It's reminding me of work. Anyways, okay. So I do want to be respectful of your time.
Okay.
Are there any last words you would like to share with the audience?
Last words, man. I think the best thing for me is support your kid. If they do want, mental health services, be open to listening to them. Because it can save lives, man. It can truly save lives. And I've been blessed to work in a field where I've seen people turn their lives around by just, as they call it, just talking to somebody.
Yep.
So respect mental health, seek mental help if you need it. It's out there. It's free sometimes. A lot of people think that it's going to be super expensive. Sometimes it's free, man. Look it up, search it, and ask me, questions if you can. Like it's the thing. Like seek that help, seek that support.
Do you have a website? Anything that they could reach you at?
Man, it's in the works. Okay. So when we talk about future, so I have great ideas, huge ideas coming up. Like
I love that.
It's something that, so just to kind of fast but slow, like one of the things I'm passionate about is depression, suicidal thoughts, and suicidal ideations. So in the future, there's plans of working towards building a site where people can come. So
with resources and all that good stuff.
And for therapy that looks different than what we do now.
Okay.
Like, it's exciting. I don't want to share too much. Yeah. So it's in the works. Nothing's set in stone yet, but I think the only thing is Instagram, man. If you guys, want to give me a follow, ask questions, is THA_Colombian boy.
You need a professional one.
Heck yeah, that's the work.
For a professional.
That's the work, that's the work that we're doing right now. It's just kind of building slow, but that's the work that we're doing in regards of going towards more professional. But right now, people have questions. I want them to ask them. I think that's why I'm willing to give my personal Instagram, so that way people are, a lot of times it's scary. A lot of times it's scary to seek that support, and when they see me, it's like, wait, are you a therapist? And like how I look, people don't picture me as a therapist. So it's cool that.
What is a therapist supposed to look like?
Hey, like people have that white couch kind of mentality, like, but like I'm telling you, people see me and they're like, you're my therapist? And I'm like, yeah.
You look normal.
Exactly. But they're not used to seeing skin color as a therapist, they're not used to, I know people can't see it, but people wearing Jordans as their therapist. Like people don't see that. So being able to be like, hey, like, we can look like you, we can talk like you, we can exactly that normality of it. So yeah, I just think people, if they want to reach out, ask questions, feel free. I have a ton of resources, so I'm more than happy to share.
Okay,
that's how we do it.
Well, as you guys heard, I will have his information linked below. If you guys need professional help, please seek a professional, and not on Instagram, not on TikTok. Don't use YouTube. Please seek a real professional. As always, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.